Welcome to today's talk session. My name is Deidre Moss, and I am the host of Can We Talk? I am an educator, motivator, and a talk connoisseur. My guest today is Rochelle Basin. Ms. Basin, can we talk about the COVID vaccine?
Absolutely. Where do you want to begin?
But before we get into our talk, I will give Ms. Basin the opportunity to introduce herself. Therefore, I will pass the virtual mic to her. Ms. Basin?
Thank you. So I'm the Director of Psychological Services at the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center. And I did a lot of work in the area of substance abuse. So I guess one might say I'm a specialist in that area. But I really have worked with persons from across the lifespan. And so, yeah, ready to do this today, to have this conversation from a psychological standpoint, of course.
Yes. Okay, so we'll get started. Okay, so Ms. Basin, based on the current environment that we are living in, there is a lot of talk about vaccines, specifically the COVID-19 vaccine. And recently, the Bahamian government has announced its intent to roll out the vaccine in the country. There is a lot of talk about the vaccine. However, there's some information that is being shared that is not always grounded in facts. So today we would like to do our part. Can we talk? Would like to do our part in shedding some light on this topic and really looking at it, breaking it down. And as you mentioned, I'm really looking at it from a psychological aspect as well. So, in your view, what are some of the misconceptions about the vaccine?
Well, certain myths abound about the COVID-19 vaccine, and they range from, reasonable concerns about safety and efficacy, all the way to the other end of the spectrum with beliefs that you're going to be given the vaccine, be given the virus when you get the vaccine, or that you're going to be implanted with some microchips to follow you around and to get information or to change your DNA. And so there's a lot of, like I say, there's a wide range of misinformation that's out there, as well as the conspiracy theories. And some of the concerns are reasonable. So if you're concerned that, okay, well, they rolled this vaccine out so quickly, or they developed this vaccine so quickly, then is it safe and is it effective? And I think that the scientists have done a good job in addressing those concerns and making that information available so that persons can have that information and really be informed and make an informed decision about whether or not they're going to take the vaccine. However, we know that information is not enough. So while it is necessary, a necessary prerequisite to change behavior or influence behavior, it is not sufficient. So what are some of those other things that are underlying that kind of drive people to have this hesitation and to not want to comply or make themselves available for the vaccine. And so this is where the psychologists and our training comes into play. So we want to look at what are those attitudes, what are those beliefs, and how do we then target the message, or make sure that the message is crafted in a way so as to reach those different views and address those different concerns that people have, and see whether or not it's related to demographics, or geographical locale, or profession, or a particular gender, or whether it's spread across the society, and doesn't really matter what your demographic is. And so some research has been done, so a survey has been put out by the Ministry of Health for the general public as well as for healthcare professionals. And so, two separate surveys looking at what are some of those factors that influence people's thinking around the vaccine and what it is that they, are prepared to do or what it is that they need to be able to make that decision. However, that information, the results of that survey is not yet available to the general public. That information is not in the public domain as yet. They are collating and doing the analysis, and the report will be available in short order, as I understand. And so then that information will be used to craft the message so that you can target whatever those concerns are. And not expect that you could have a one size fits all, that this one message will reach everybody and will change everybody's minds, but rather that we may need to have different messages going out to reach the different groups and the different concerns that people may have.
Thank you, Ms. Basin. Do you think that maybe the misconceptions that is out there or some of the information that is being shared may be grounded in some type of anxiety that people may have about the vaccine?
Of course. I mean, even with the pandemic itself and the virus itself, fears abound. And so it is no different now that the vaccine is around the corner for us and already being rolled out in other countries in the region and around the world. So it's not unusual that that persons would have these concerns. And even before the COVID 19, there were concerns about taking vaccines. There's a whole group of people out there that call themselves
Yeah.
non-vaxxers. And so, they've had concerns that go back several decades around autism and whether or not there was a link between vaccinations and autism that research did not bear out those beliefs and those you know, um, thoughts and information around that. The research did not back that up. But it doesn't mean that people's minds have changed. So there's a subset of people who really still believe that that is the case. And so, and it has extended then to all vaccines. And so it's no difference for the COVID-19 vaccine. It's just like one more, nail in that coffin, so to speak.
So you're saying that there are some group of persons that no matter what you do, no matter what information is shared, they're still going to have that type of outlook on the vaccine, on different types of vaccines.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you can't reach some of those people as well. Okay. So it's just how you target that message, what approach you use. So it's advisable, like with any attempt to change behavior, that we meet people where they are. And so not necessarily try to argue with them, to tell them that they're wrong and your point of view is right, but to use some other tactics. Something called motivational enhancement is an approach that's used often in the field of addiction, but it has applicability in behavior change in general. So that if we meet people where they are, so for instance, if somebody is what we will call or what we call um, what is it called? Pre-contemplative, right? So that would be the person who's not inclined at all, who's hesitant or resistant. Um, then you don't want to come at them with thinking that all this information is what is going to then change their mind. You might want to, show some empathy and say something like, "Well, I understand your fears or your concerns or your hesitancy, but here's what convinced me, here's what helped me, or here's why I am planning to get the vaccine, or here's why I've had my children vaccinated. Here's what helped me to kind of like cross over that hurdle." And so you kind of meeting that person where they are. Another group of persons might be what we call contemplatives. They're thinking about it. They're already kind of they're like part of the way there, but they just need a little bit of a nudge to take them over. And so that person, then some information may be helpful for that person. So some information about efficacy, about safety, about side effects, about the risk benefit analysis kind of thing. That might help that person to that next step in the change process. And so this is just some of the things that we need to take into consideration as we are embarking upon rolling out the vaccine.
Yeah, and that kind of took me into my next question or my next point. How can how do you recommend people overcome their fear or anxiety about the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of what I've said
Yeah.
already, that it's with figuring out where that person is at and what that person, what is the basis for that person's, whether is it fair? Is it misinformation? Is it a lack of information? Is it a bad experience, you know? And so once you have to first identify the problem. So the problem is not that the person doesn't want to take the vaccine, but the problem, because then what can you do about that if that's the blanket problem and that's the be all and the end all? But what is it that's motivating or driving that fear or that concern? And then target your message, meet that person there, and then help them to get over that hump if they permit you to, of course, knowing that you're not going to get everybody across the finish line, but you're going to make some steps in the right direction.
So what is,
Modeling,
go ahead, go ahead.
great. And also modeling is a good way as well. So the fact that in the Bahamas we're planning on vaccinating the healthcare professionals first, and I think other jurisdictions have done something similar. Once persons see that their healthcare providers have been vaccinated, and as time goes by and they're not seeing any serious adverse effects, then they'll be more inclined to follow suit. So it's about the role models in the community as well that helps to get that message across and helps to allay some of the fears and some of the concerns that people have.
So what is your organization doing to reduce the fear and anxiety of the COVID-19, sorry, vaccine, or what programs or what initiatives? I know you spoke about a rollout of some plans that your ministry has, but do you mind going over over those?
Well, there's been a lot of public information, public education going out from the Ministry of Health, from the Public Hospitals Authority, and within, so to the public as well as within the organization itself to educate people. And all around us, people are doing various webinars to make information available to persons. So things are there, PSAs going out on the media to help the general public, to educate the general public, and to demystify the vaccine and the effectiveness of the vaccine, to put that information out there. So there's been a lot of information provided that people are tuned in and paying attention. Is there more that could be done? And my hope is that once we get the results from the surveys, that those very targeted messages then will go out, and more people will become, I guess, less hesitant as time goes by. But on the positive note, there are a lot of people who are eager and waiting and ready to, like they say, take that shot in the arm.
Mhm.
It's not all doom and gloom, you know.
So they won't be getting a microchip when they when they get
That is
that.
no, that is not my belief and my understanding. So hopefully we could help to dispel that myth for persons. Yeah.
Lastly, Ms. Basin, are there any other comments that you would like to add? Or where can persons go to pull up information about the COVID-19 or the webinars or seminars that your division is doing? Can they
Well,
reach out to anybody?
there's information on the website. There's
This
information
is Ministry
on
of
the
Health or
Ministry of Health, PHA, and there's also information on the Facebook pages of the various organizations connected to the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization as well.
do you have any other thoughts or anything else you would like to add?
Well, I mean, I guess among those people who are eagerly awaiting the rollout of the vaccine, and I hope that it helps to have the country return to some form of normalcy. Helps to with the economy, and that's one of the things too that we can use to help to convince people who might be resistant and hesitant that until we get herd immunity, it's going to be difficult to imagine the country returning to any sense of normalcy. And so we want to take those things into consideration as well.
So honest, I didn't even, but I just want to throw it out there. Do you think the shot should be mandatory, or should persons have a choice to get the vaccine?
No, I'm all in agreement with the it being a choice. I mean, human rights and all that considered. Yeah, I don't think that will help um, for people to feel comfortable and to trust that this is a good thing and a necessary thing if it's made mandatory. Then you get another level of resistance coming in and mistrust at that point.
Oh, Ms. Basin, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. And remind us again of your background. Sorry.
Okay, I'm a clinical psychologist by profession, and I'm the director of psychological services at Sandilands.
Thank you for your expert knowledge.
Thank
So,
you.
so I would like to thank the viewers for listening in. They can like our page for future notifications of upcoming talks. Comment under our videos. You can comment under this video and let us know your thoughts, and also let us know what you would like us to talk about. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, sorry, Can We Talk? Thank you and good day. Thanks again, Ms. Basin.
Thank you.